Here we're just working on a 12-inch beach theme clock. Silicone Mold is from Crafted Elements. And right now I'm just covering all the walnut with a thin layer of epoxy to ensure that there are no bubbles that creep out later. So I'm just brushing it in, putting a thin layer on the bottom. And the epoxy that I'm using today is Ecopoxy, which I get at Jeff Max Supply. Now we are adding sand. I was going to do like a spoon or popsicle stick, couldn't get it to work, so I just poured some in a paper cup and just dumped it on the side. And now I'm just adding a bunch of shells, trying to either get epoxy a little bit on them or underneath, just so they'll stay in place. I do have a starfish that I'm going to add here also on the bottom. So I just keep a thin layer on the bottom just to get enough things to hold still there. So now I'm just putting a little bit of epoxy over the starfish, so also that does not bubble at a later time. Still just overflowing with shells. I have so many shells at this point right now. I have a huge tub. I did mess up some of the sand on the top, so I figure I'll just probably sand that after if I need to. And now I'm going to be adding the moss up at the top. I'll just fill all of that in. I will make the epoxy a little bit thicker, but at this point I just want it to stick to the bottom. And then now I'm getting on to be day 3. So now I've done 2 epoxies of translucent blue and green. It is an alcohol ink, but I think I did a little bit too much color in them, so they're not as see-through as I wanted them to. So now this is the next day again. The translucent's done, and I'm just doing the waves to add. So I did that the next day. So I did 1 wave, and I did a small wave at the front. I don't know if I really should have did it or not, but I kind of like it. And then I usually spray it with alcohol, and that will sometimes create the cells for me.